Leonard Peltier was convicted of murder 17 years ago in the United States. But there are many people on both sides of the border who think Peltier is not a killer. And tomorrow in St. Paul, Minnesota, they will get a unique chance to argue his case. Peltier is an American native convicted of killing 2 FBI agents back in 1975. But Peltier's backers argue he never got a fair trial, and they claim the miscarriage of justice started right here in Canada. That story from Kevin Tibbles.
A traditional sweetgrass ceremony in a Minneapolis theater. Native activists and their supporters have gathered here because of events that started almost 20 years ago at Wounded Knee in South Dakota. A bitter standoff between natives and U.S. authorities. It was in the violent aftermath of the Wounded Knee siege that Leonard Peltier was involved in a shootout on a nearby reserve, which left 2 FBI agents and 1 Indian dead. Authorities embarked on what was called the most intense manhunt in U.S. history. Peltier was caught in Canada, where he'd fled, and was returned to the United States, where he was convicted, his sentence 2 consecutive life terms.
I was shooting towards them, yes, towards the cars anyway. But I didn't see anybody, so I know in my heart I never killed nobody.
Peltier's not the only one who says he was not responsible.
I just decided some time ago to channel all my energies into the issue of whether or not this man received a fair trial. And it's my conclusion that he didn't.
Redford's narrated a film about the shootings called Incident at Oglala. The film says authorities forced Myrtle Pourbear into fingering Peltier as the killer, statements she now retracts.
I didn't even know Leonard. I didn't even know what Leonard looked like till I met him in the courtroom.
Yet it was Pourbear's evidence the U.S. government used to extradite Peltier from Canada. At a screening of the Redford film in Minneapolis, a Canadian lawyer, Diane Martin.
Leonard was extradited on false evidence that claimed he deliberately shot the agents in cold blood.
Martin is here representing 55 Canadian MPs who say Peltier should never have been extradited. She'll put their case before a Minnesota appeals court tomorrow. Rarely is a Canadian lawyer given legal standing in a U.S. criminal court.
The extradition of Leonard Peltier from Canada was a fraud on the Canadian court, and maybe even worse than that, although that's bad enough. It's contributed to the imprisonment of an innocent man for almost 17 years.
But despite calls for Peltier's release from both sides of the border, those who put him behind bars say they've got the right man.
We think that he was the trigger man. We think the evidence proves he was, but we don't have to prove that, and in fact, we didn't prove that. What we basically proved that he was a guilty participant.
Both Diane Martin and Peltier's lawyers will argue in court tomorrow that it was the extradition from Canada that put Leonard Peltier on the road to Leavenworth Prison, where he remains. They say authorities lied to the Canadian government to get him back for trial, and that the extradition itself made him appear guilty, favoring the prosecution. Kevin Tibbles, CBC News, Minneapolis.